I'd like to welcome you to another segment of Recovery Live Global. We are here today in Detroit at an agency called Class. And I'm meeting with Dr. Carla, who's founder, director of the Class programming. And I really appreciate being able to interview individuals from different modalities of recovery. She kind of specializing in a certain type of recovery. She just asked the question, who is it out there that can handle children that need SUD and mental health services? So we got to research that part. And we talking, and we back in the neighborhood. This Old Redford still.
Yes, Old Redford.
We're in Old Redford on Lasher and Grand River. You got the, what's the name of Old Redford Theater around the corner. You got great things happening in this community. The mayor has been invested in this community. And I think I see you have moved from Livernois to Lasher Road, now Grand River, and now you're doing your holistic approach to services as well as the treatment piece. Let's talk about the treatment piece that you're doing right now.
Sure. So I have to correct you. I wish I could take credit for founding Class. I cannot. Class was founded by the esteemed Carolyn Kennedy Anderson.
I know her.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Very well. She did a lot of great work here when she started Class. And so I've been the executive director for the past 6 years and sat on the board for almost 8 years before I became executive director.
Okay.
And so Class is more of a community-based, community-oriented behavioral health center. We really are not doing treatment as it stands. We kind of sandwich the behavioral health continuum. So we do a lot of outreach and education as it relates to prevention. And then on the back end, we offer, we do some early intervention, universal screenings to increase linkages to care. Okay. And then on the back end, we provide recovery support services. We run regular groups throughout the week. And we also have a 24-hour wellness line where people can call in and get access to care. But we have great partnerships with the Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network providers. And those relationships enable us to get people access to treatment on demand.
Okay. And hey, that's, that 1-800 number. What is that? 1-800-241-4949?
Yes.
There's a screener there 24 hours.
Correct.
From the screener. There's an assessor from the assessor. And then they do the referral to put you with a provider that can handle your services.
Correct. So one of the things that makes Class Agency unique is that our 800 number is a preceptor to DWIN. And what we do, we pride ourselves on that warm handoff. I don't know if you've ever observed somebody in crisis and having to call an 800 number and being put on hold or told to call back tomorrow. It increases the chance for a follow-up crisis or for relapse. And so what we do is we walk alongside people in their journey and we offer the patience that they typically don't have. And so we have people walk into our office that need help right away, but don't have the patience, don't have ID, or don't have transportation to get where they need to go. So our program is actually called Bridging the Gap.
Okay.
So we try to bridge the gap for people because we know it's difficult. We know stigma prevents people from following through with care and getting follow-up after a crisis. We know that barriers like not having transportation, childcare, prevent people from following through with care. So we try to meet them in the middle and help increase access to great services that DWIN provides.
And there's a great need for that. Because when I'm in a situation or in a crisis or need help with my substance use disorder or mental health, being screened on the telephone and put on hold until we could get a specialist to take you to the next level. And then asking, can I call you back? Give me your number and let me call you back. And the person, they done pawned their cell phone and sold it. So a lot of them don't even have access to some of the stigmatism that's out there. So I really appreciate you saying that you bridging the gap in between services,
absolutely,
prevention and things like that. That's a beautiful piece, and I thank DWIN for adopting you and allowing you to provide that type of a services. And D-Win is on the growth mode. They're trying to cover all bases. And to have this prevention piece is so highly important.
They're doing a great job. They have supported our agency for many, many years. They power a lot of the great work that we do in the community. And I'm just happy to be able to provide a level of nurture here that institutionalized care does not offer.
Okay. And then the area that you in, Old Retford, I mean, you're right down the street from Brightmoor. And that's Brightmoor and Old Retford have been known to be a toxic environment.
Has it? I didn't know.
Well, I ain't going to say how I know, but I ran a business right next door for over 30 years, a hair salon, barbershop, stuff like that. So I've been over here, and it's layers and generational and legacies. I cut the granddaddy's hair.
Yep.
Then I cut the daddy's hair. Then I cut the son's hair. Now I cut the grandson's hair. So you see layers and layers of like you say, toxicity that kind of really need to be addressed.
Well, it's true. Honestly, if you are familiar with the work of the CDC and their social vulnerability index that talks about the most distressed neighborhoods in the United States.
Okay.
This zip code is among the top ranked socially distressed, economically vulnerable areas in the city of Detroit, in the state of Michigan even, and nationally ranked as one of the highest and most socially vulnerable areas. So the CDC affirms what you're saying.
Yeah, so God just planted you right here.
I guess he did.
Where the need is the greatest.
I guess so.
And then your passion.
I absolutely
the passion that you have, that you don't meet no stranger, that you can take a person that's in distress and then walk them through the processes. Because a lot of people, because of the trauma and the distress, they just don't have no patience, even seeking help.
You know what that is, Jesse? I think about, my grandma used to always tell me, give out of your need. Give out of your need. I've shared with you before, like both my parents had addictions. My mother went through community mental health back when Herman Kiefer was a thing. I remember walking her through that process. And one of the things that I remember the most about that process is that as a child, there was nothing for me. The services weren't good enough for my mom because she did not ultimately recover. But when I walked through that process, and even I was a mother at the time, so it was my mother, me, and my daughter. And I just looked like, well, what about me? I'm trying to get help from my mom. But at the same time, I'm displaced. What's going on for the kids? And to this day, I don't see, we're light years away from what I like to refer to as cluster care. Cluster care. Like these people have children who are impacted by their illness, right? Okay. Their parents' illness. What are we doing for them? We're barely hitting the mark where there's so many issues.
It's a family problem.
It is a family.
It's a community problem.
Yes.
It's a clergy church problem. It's a government problem, state problem. So like you say, we do need the cluster care.
And I was just speaking to why I'm so passionate about it, because I know how hard it is for people who are impacted by addiction to make it to recovery, or people who are impacted by unaddressed mental health to get help. But then if you take that a step further, what about the kids and the family members of those people who kind of like serve as the buffer where they exist? And so that's where my passion comes from.
Yeah, that's where the codependency and things like that come in.
Yeah.
Because if the daddy is involved with substance use disorder, the children suffer because they the ones didn't have a bed to sleep in and didn't have the 3 meals a day to eat. And now you got the children having to commit or go out and participate in other types of ways to eat. Yeah. That is causing another layer of a lot of people out here, like you say, that's out here and participating in illegal activities and illegal gain. It's not motivated because they want to. It's motivated because they have to.
They have to. They're surviving. So
Survival is what I'm
Survival.
saying.
I am so grateful that DWIN puts class in a position to be able to provide, I like to call it nurture,
Okay.
to provide nurture to not just people who need, addiction treatment or people who need mental health services, but to really create a wraparound. A lot of the people that we get access to care come through our life skills, our kids. Mm-hmm. Like the kids are in life skills program, they have brothers, uncles, cousins, sisters who then find out what we do. And then all of a sudden, the family's coming through the door,
Okay.
So,
And that's the good part.
That's the great.
That's the holistic approach toward the family.
Yep.
But now you got to look at the holistic approach toward needs.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, it's multiple needs.
It is.
And if you're not really addressing the whole man, then you're not addressing the man at all.
We have a ways to go.
Uh-oh.
We have a ways to go, I think.
Let's talk about that part.
The key is partnership, obviously, right?
Okay.
Having amazing partners in the community. There's so many wonderful organizations in the city who are providing pieces of those services. The thing that I worry a lot of community-based organizations don't get right is partnership. Mm-hmm. It's almost, sometimes I worry, or I observe like this crabs in the barrel thing. Or like we're all competing with each other as opposed to finding ways to work together and bring everything that everybody has to the table for the good of our community. I have years left. I haven't been in the industry as long as you or the sector as long as you. So I'm hoping that by the time I can get my badge of honor and pay all my dues, I will see partnerships done well.
And that's part of the answer.
Yeah.
Interrelating, connecting with others. You got, it's best not to try to be one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Yep. But you could connect those dots. I mean, somebody need employment, send them over there. Somebody need that's why case managers is a tremendous need in all of the agencies today.
Yeah. Because
they link in and dotting and connecting the services that the participant need other than learning how to stop drinking. Stopping drinking is not the answer to the situation, the circumstance of the problem. You got to now think different.
Absolutely. Make sure I'm not in an intimate partner violence situation. Make sure my kids can eat.
You call that, the first one was what?
Intimate domestic violence. Partner violence.
Intimate partner violence.
Yeah.
Okay. Domestic violence.
Domestic violence.
Okay.
Yeah. Make sure, there's so many, it's so complex that you're right. We have to be able to think more broadly about what people are going through. Mm-hmm. And then make sure we leverage those relationships in the community that help us meet all the needs.
Right. You got the penal system that's out here. Mm-hmm. You got the substance use disorder system out here. Then you got the mental health that's out here. Then you got
physical health,
medication that's out here. You got
housing,
environmental that's out here. Where am I going to live? Then you got the housing piece. You got the employment piece, and certain violations or certain certain crimes that you could commit that could put you in a place that you can't get certain jobs.
Yep.
They don't trust you.
Yep.
And they're messing with certain things if you had certain crimes.
Sure.
And I believe that that history never changed, but people do.
Facts.
So, I mean, what happened, what happened 25 years ago? Come on now. People they're not the same person.
Yep.
That's the reason that this new program out there that's giving juvenile lifers freedom is helping them because their brain had not maturated into the same process as a 14-year-old, as a 28-year-old.
Absolutely.
So some of the things that a person did as a 14-year-old, stats and statistics and science say that the brain hadn't even matured.
Correct.
So therefore, how can you hold me for what I did when I was 14 and I'm 64 now?
You know what's interesting about that? I'm still not, I haven't lived long enough, I don't think, but I am still not convinced that the penal system is rehabilitative.
Okay.
Or that it heals.
So okay.
I'm not convinced that sending a 14-year-old to jail is the answer to healing whatever sent him there. You know what I mean? Like, I hear what you're saying. A 14-year-old's mind does not catch up or become who he's going to be by the time he's 66. Now, don't get me wrong. There should be consequences for people's actions. But I am just concerned that the way that we deal justice to juveniles arrests their development, not corrects their development, you know?
So punishment is not always the answer to or the solution to a bad behavior.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I've lived long enough I don't think from what I see coming out of jail, I don't know. I mean, of course, there are wonderful stories, but there are also some that are not wonderful, right? So I don't know. I just don't know.
Okay. Well, we stay on our journey.
That's it.
Keep walking the journey.
That's it.
And more going to be revealed as they statistically look at certain genres and what's happening and what's moving and what's going. They'll be able to come up with some stats and statistics, because I do believe in evidence-based practice. That, you can take, you got people that do statistics,
long-term studies,
and they can be able to come up with a intervention that's going to really help the situation and the circumstances of these people that we're running into today.
I do believe there are people out here doing great work like that, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Wayne State got a statistics team,
the crime stat team,
that they train people to do that, and then they can take the evidence-based information. That's why progress notes are so important.
Yeah,
that's why our intakes are so important. That's why our assessments are so important. That's why our biopsychosocials is so important. The ASAMs are so important, because it's electronic data that's being fed. They take the names off of it, but they running that data through a grid. And that's going to be better able to prepare the new counselor, the new social worker, or the new peer to be able to assess and have impact on the community that we're serving today.
Yep.
Man, this is some good stuff. I think right now is a good time. We're going to take a station break, and we'll be right back.
So the primary objective of the mobile units is to provide crisis intervention, stabilization, and de-escalation techniques to individuals of all ages experiencing a crisis in a community. Individuals may not be able to access certain services due to their insurance status, but with these units, we can help people regardless of their insurance status. And pretty much our goal is to provide individuals with immediate support and care right in their community, removing different barriers such as transportation. In that regard, we come to them. We can meet them anywhere they are in the community in Wayne County. So it can be in their home, it can be at their school, it could be at their local church, it can be at a park. Wherever they are in crisis, we are there to support. These mobile units are different because we are able to go where people are and give them services and support where they are most comfortable. So we're able to go to their homes, we can go to their schools, we can go to their local church, we can go to a community center. Wherever they are in crisis, we are able to go to them, removing that barrier of transportation.
Now they can call us, we can go right out and give that person the services that they really need. A lot of people do things because of it's their job. But I believe everyone on this team, on the mobile crisis team, this is their purpose, to reach out to other individuals that are going through crisis. Just because you're going through a crisis at that moment, don't mean that you'll stay there the rest of your life.
Hi, I am Katrina Barnes, and you're watching Recovery Live Global.
We're back with Recovery Live Global. I have with me Miss Carla from class. And we've been talking about some interesting information as it relates to recovery. Recovery is not always a drug or alcohol. Recovery sometimes is so many other dynamics that we can think about recovery in. And I like some of the things Miss Carla is doing here, because she even talked about the holistic approach to recovery. You mentioned something about holistically, some of the things that you do holistically, and I'd like you to touch on a little bit of that too. That's on another area level, what you do.
Sure. Dr. Carla.
Okay, let me get that right. Let me get that, Dr. Carla.
What brings me to class is my passion for people with addiction, but my first love is naturopathic care. I'm a naturopathic doctor and clinical herbalist in private practice, and I see patients, interface with them the same way a medical doctor does, except everything I do is natural in nature. So where my work intersects with behavioral health is really trying to innovate or create new ways of managing mental health conditions and addiction using naturopathic, complementary, and alternative methods. It's not something that we consider in our practice right now, in behavioral health practice per se. We've just really advanced into what we call integrated care, where we're bringing physical medicine and behavioral health in the same roof. But where my work shines in real life is integrative care, where you're using complementary alternative methods or naturopathic approaches to mainly people who refuse conventional care, right? You have people who have been diagnosed with mental health conditions and they refuse to take their medication. And that's not, and what I do is not, is to educate them and tell them that that's not necessarily the end of the road, that there are other things that they consider to kind of help with that. And I don't think behavioral health practice or psychiatry practice has evolved into those types of considerations.
And where we moving, I mean, there used to be a phone right there on the corner. You put a dime in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the booth is still sitting there. I mean, it's sitting there right now today. I could take you right down to the block, make a left, and I think that if they ain't tore it down, there was a phone booth there. You put a dime in and you make your phone call. Today, I got a cell phone that I can pick up and talk to people all over the world, you know, with a push of a button. So things are evolving. You know, things are evolving, and I think medical is evolving now because, you know, I had a doctor, look at my heart through my wrist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Things are evolving, but I don't want to hop on a soapbox, but I was talking to somebody about piloting studies, and we were talking about peer reviews and all those kinds of things. And she said, well, you know, don't give up. It takes 20 years to change public health.
What?
Yeah, she said it takes at least 20 years to change public health. So I'm not quite at 20 yet, but I think if I keep having the conversations, kind people like you keep giving me opportunities to speak about that kind of work, ultimately, maybe we will arrive at some change.
Have you heard the word transcendence?
I have.
Okay.
I have.
Yeah, that's coming.
I hope so.
It's coming.
So.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of research and study as it relates to transcendence, and we're trying to get that, like you said, you called it integrated care, that if a person wanted to choose transcendence, they could without violating and being messed up. I was looking at the motivational interviewing stages of change and different things, and relapses to after maintenance in the book. But a lot of people don't relapse after maintenance. They maintenance and maintain
forever,
and they go over into transcendence. So I'm trying to have those conversations with the right people that we can at least look at that. And what's got to happen is individuals have to document individuals that's in transcendence or that never relapse. And most people that never relapse never go back to treatment to report it. And because of the stigma that's associated with the relapse or with sobriety or recovery as a whole, people don't raise their hand and say, I'm in recovery in a lot of circles. They just get in recovery, get their wife back, get the kids back, get the job back, go back to school, become pastors and lawyers and doctors and all these leaders within the community. But because of the stigma associated with addictions and things like that, they don't want to raise their hand and say that used to be me.
You know what's interesting about that? I'm glad you bring that up, because the thing that I think we are getting right in behavioral health is celebrating people who have lived experience and pairing them with people so that it makes them more comfortable to be able to say, hey, I am in recovery.
Okay.
The dynamic that exists between a person with lived experience as, let's say, a peer recovery coach and somebody who was still marching that journey is incredible. I've never seen people so lockstep than people in the fellowship who hold each other up.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And so organizations who are not taking advantage of peer recovery mentors, who are not letting them tell their story in a way that makes it comfortable for other people to say that they're in recovery, are doing themselves a disservice, because there's something magical that happens when a person with lived experience breaks down a barrier for somebody else.
That's a good thing.
It's
and
a
right
great
now,
thing.
they told me that we remember 35% of what we see and only 15% of what we hear. If those stats are right, then seeing a message is stronger than hearing one through a didactic or through a session and all these other vineyards that we're trying to get the message out. So you right. Peer recovery coaches, they used to call them sponsors and things like that.
But now there's a credential. They are paid.
They're paid, and it's a credential for that.
Yeah.
So if you out there and you walk in this journey called recovery and you want to become a peer recovery coach, contact us. You got the numbers, 313-970-1422. It'll be on the screen too. You got Miss Carla over here at class. You could contact her and we can link you to peer recovery coach services and trainings that you too can now be a model. You could be a model of recovery, not just a statistic of relapse.
Absolutely.
And more models need to be out here, and more models that's doing great things in the community.
And listen, speak to these 13 to 24s.
The Gen Zs.
Yep, speak to these 13 to 24s. We are actively looking for 13-year-olds to 24-year-old youth and young adults who want to stop smoking weed, who want to stop vaping, who want to stop popping pills, so that we can help them with that, but then also teach them how to be mentors for their peers.
Correct, because they'll hear it. I mean,
they will absolutely hear it.
It's hard for me to talk to that population.
They don't want to hear
I'm
you
a baby
or
boomer.
me. They don't want to hear you or me, but they will absolutely listen to
I'm a
each
baby
other.
boomer. Then you got millennials. Then you got, so it's layers of communication that we miss. Wouldn't it be nice to get a Gen Z to come on the Recovery Live Global show and just talk, and have Gen Zs to look at the show and see and feel it that now you got a young person that's my age, my culture, my dynamics, dealing with life like I'm dealing with life, and talking to me about the recovery process. So that's I'm going to reach out and see. And if you're out there and you know somebody that want to interview on Recovery Live Global that is a Gen Z under 28 years old, that will want to come on the show and talk about recovery, talk about healing, talk about mental health, talk about substance use disorders, and they know a little bit about it and they live in it, then contact us. We'd love to put some cameras in front of that population because we got to reach them. We got to reach them, and you can't reach them if you can't connect with them. So the thing is reaching out to those people. We just think, man, I'm glad to be in this facility called Class today.
Thank you.
Hey, it's your show. I'm gonna, I'm a communicator. I can talk. But is it anything that you would like, any closing remarks, anything that you would like to share with the globe, with the world at this point? What would you want to say to people that's out there they playing with their TV and then landed on our show? I mean, what can we leave some lasting points and remarks to an individual that's zooming in?
Two things. I would love to share the fact that on Thursday, Class Agency is leads a coalition called the Drug Free Community Coalition. It's a action coalition, and we have our meetings every last Thursday of the month. We just had a meeting. And on Thursday, we were celebrating that since January 1st, there have been no deaths, opioid overdose deaths, for kids 17 to 24. I'm so excited about that because trends in the past, it's shown a downward trend. And for the first quarter ever, we've had no deaths from 0 to 24. So what that tells me is that kids are listening. They are coming into an understanding of what Narcan and naloxone resources can do, and they don't feel uncomfortable reaching out for help anymore. Right? There was a time when we started this work where kids would not call 911 because they were afraid that addiction would be criminalized. So the fact that we are moving into the first quarter of the year with zero opioid overdose deaths tell me that the work that our coalition is doing, community-based organizations and other coalitions are doing is working. And so I just want to give those coalitions a shout out and celebrate that work. And then thank you for the work that you're doing with this podcast and Recovery Global. I think there's not enough conversations being had about the great work that organizations like yours and Class and others in the city are doing. Having these conversations help to break down barriers, make people feel more comfortable about talking about it. And so thank you, because every opportunity we get to talk about it might be one more person who's not afraid to pick up the phone and get help.
Well, we thank you. This has been another segment of Recovery Lab Global, and I thank you for participating. If you're out there, you want to like, share, let people know about Recovery Lab Global. If you're out there and you want to be part of the show through the methodology of donations, through the methodology of supporting the show or being on the show, just give us a call. We'd love to have you. This has been another segment of Recovery Live Global. See you next week.